Good day, teaching everyone. So today, we are going to have a PowerPoint presentation in Module 3, which is the topic will be Organization and Management of Learner-Centered Classrooms. But before that, let me first introduce myself and my co-members. So I am Mellanie Edama, the leader of Team 7, and then my members are Diaz Gressa Mae, Abunda Michael, Magnahoy Justine Kyle, and Robin John Paul. So we have the introduction. As teachers, we are dedicated to becoming proficient, productive, responsible educators in an increasingly complex and challenging world. We do not just instruct, assess, and guide our students, but are challenged to serve as effective classroom managers to our students towards quality learning. So the quality of learning directly reflects our management of the class. So the teacher's actions pose a great impact inside the classroom. Classroom management makes up the size of the teacher's task, and there is no shortcut to class management. So it's either you will be successful or fail in dealing with your students. So in short, the teachers really has great impact inside the classroom, and it depends on the actions of the teacher. So if he or she has a bad behavior that the students won't like, so it really affects on how they will deal with their students. It's either it will be successful or fail. So, and also sinabi dito na kapag as a teacher, hindi lang tayo basta-basta nagtuturo, nag-a-assess at nag-guide kung ano yung dapat gawin ng mga students natin, but we are challenged to serve as effective classroom managers to our students towards quality learning. So, kapag maganda yung pagturo natin sa kanila, it really reflects our management of the class. Next is the abstraction. So, letter A, the forms of learner-centered classroom organization, procedures, and physical structure. So, physical setup is one of the most important components in teaching. Bakit kaya? So, it reflects your teaching style and also reflects you. On how we design our classroom has an impact on the way our students think clearly. So, conducive learning environment promotes effective teaching and learning. So, physical setup means, like for example, hindi nagustuhan ng mga students natin kung paano yung teaching style natin, so wala talagang mangyayari, hindi magiging effective yung pagtuturo natin sa kanila. So, dapat alamin natin yung mag-isip tayo ng magandang paraan, magandang strategy para yung estudyante natin magiging active sila sa class natin. So, tulad ng sinabi dito na how we design our classroom has an impact on the way our students think clearly. So, dapat mag-isip tayo ng magandang strategy na gawin or different teaching style na magugustuhan ng bawat estudyante. So, here there are 4 forms of learner-centered classrooms. First is the room structuring. Second is the classroom's routines and procedures. Third is the social environment. And lastly, creating a motivating learning environment. So later on, we're going to discuss each of the meaning of these 4 forms of learner-centered classroom. First one is the room structuring. So in this form, there are 4 important four important type of room structuring. So the first one is for individualized learning. So here, we must set up an individual work area for this type of learning. So set up learning centers or stations for students to work at their own pace, depend on their abilities and interest. So dapat, pag individual, dapat each of the students has their own space that depends on their abilities and interest. Second is the group learning. So, in my grade school, I really encountered this kind of learning. And the students can really have the advantage in it. So, organize them around tables or clusters of desks. You can organize them in groups of 4 for cooperative learning. So, bakit advantage to sa mga students pag ganitong group learning ang gagawin nila? Kasi diba, pag group, they can brainstorm or they can share their ideas and thoughts about that particular topic. So, mayroon talagang cooperation na nangyayari. Next one is the frequent whole group discussion. So, try a circle or U-shaped desk configuration where everyone has a front row seat. So, third is the activity-oriented classroom. So, set up a large table for cooperative projects and then provide a space for wet or mess projects. Kasi pag activity-oriented classroom, expect talaga na dapat may space yung bawat students kasi pag ganito, they can really marami talaga sila makakuha na space, especially doing their projects and activities. So next is classroom routines and procedures. Establishing routines is not that difficult. For teachers who are strict and non-negotiating, establishing a routine sends a message to the students that they should cooperate in maintaining order in the classroom. So, kapag may mga routines tayo, ito yung magiging basihan para alam ng estudyante yung mga ginagawa nila. Same lang yan sa mga rules and policies of the classroom or the school. So, according to Erlinda De Serrano and Ana Ruby M. Pais, classroom events that can be routinized are the following. So, the first one is getting the attention of the students to respond to particular questions or reactions and etc. Second, correcting homeworks in class. Third, excusing oneself from class for emergency purpose or use of the comfort room. Fourth is posting of visual aids on the board. Fifth, updating oneself of the lessons when absent in class. Sixth, going out of the room during break time. 7. Clearing the table and desk after performance of task. 8. Swapping of partners on discussions. 9. Forming participatory groups. And lastly, reporting and sharing of responses. So, pag may mga classroom routines and procedures tayo na ganito, magiging easy lang sa students kung ano yung mga dapat nilang gagawin para may guidance sila. So, meron ding benefits yung mga routines na ito. And both the teachers and students have the advantage of it. So the first one is routine procedures help in freeing the minds of teachers to think about the other matters in teaching. So if every time an activity is performed and a teacher has to consider some options on how to do it, it will be too taxing on his or her part to constantly think and decide. So next we have the benefits of routines. So the first one benefit is routine procedures help in freeing the minds of teachers to think about other matters in teaching. And if every time an activity is performed, a teacher has to consider some options on how to do it, it will be too taxing on his or her part to constantly think and decide. So the second one, establishing routines on how to collect assignments or distributing materials enables the teachers to focus more on his or her lesson plan. Third is, in the execution of lessons, a teacher who has routines for calling on students is relieving himself or herself of the burden of worrying about whom to call next, thus allowing more time to focus on what is being shared by the students. Fourth, it is easier for the students to predict their teacher's next move and armed with such knowledge, and they can concentrate and learn more. 5. The stability is assured, especially for the new students who are unfamiliar with class rules. And lastly, reduces anxiety on the part of students who do not know how to get involved in different class activities. So, these benefits of routines, both the teacher and the students will get an advantage of it. Kasi, diba, like for example, yung mga students na mga bago, hindi na nila kailangan pang alamin kung ano yung next na gagawin dahil may mga routines na. So, the part also of the teacher, like for example, they have to do some things, some matters, hindi na sila yung magmamadali na gagawin ito dahil meron na ding mga routines or mga procedures na sinusunod. So they both the teachers and students can really get the advantage of the benefits of routines. So next, we have the social environment. Fairness, respect, care, and encouraging learning in every classroom. The most successful learning occurs when teachers are facilitators or activators of learning. So learning is more engaging when the classroom climate is welcoming to all learners. So when the teacher's management plan is fair, consistent, and organized, the students understand what to expect and can make wise choices and take responsibility for their actions. So kapag yung classroom environment natin, meron tayong fairness, may respect tayo sa isa't isa, hindi lang sa kapwa guro, dapat may respect tayo each and every one of the students at sa lahat ng environment na nakapalibot sa atin. Care and encouraging learning, it is, pag merong ganito, magiging maganda talaga yung takbo ng pagtuturo mo. And also, dapat yung teacher magiging fair sa lahat ng students niya. Next one is the teacher should be a model of good communication and behavior for them to evaluate. So the attitude of teachers must be the one to support and fairness because this is the foundation of which effective classroom management and positive teacher-student relationship are formed. So sinabi dito na dapat yung guro is magiging role model ng estudyante kasi pag maganda yung pinapakita natin sa mga students natin, sasabihin nila, dapat ganito din ako, dapat tatata sa isip nila na gusto nila na magiging ganito din sila someday pag maganda yung pinapakita natin sa kanila. Next is, as teachers, we should promote gender and racial equality in all subjects, give equal praise and expectations, treat each other with dignity and respect. Next is, as teachers, we should promote gender and racial equality in all subjects, give equal praise and expectations, treat each other with dignity and respect, listen to each other's point of view, recognizing that there may be disagreement, and do not use derogatory words to your students. So for me, I really encounter some in my grade school, some of my teachers, not all, some, na hindi talaga nila tinitingnan yung side ng isang estudyante. Yung parang, kung ano lang yung nakikita nila sa labas, yun lang din yung sa labas ng yun lang din yung i-consider nila. So, dapat, as a teacher, we should promote gender and racial equality in all subjects. Dapat walang bias. And also, give them equal praise and expectations. We should also treat each other dignity and, respect. Respect talaga yung important dito. And also, the most important one also is listen to each other's point of view. Dapat pakinggan natin kung ano yung dahilan ng isang estudyante. Kasi meron yung, for example, hindi niya nagawa yung activity niya, ganitong araw yung due date, tapos pinapagalitan or sinasabihan natin ng masasamang salita, kahit hindi natin alam kung ano yung pinagdadaanan ng isang estudyante. So, we must not use derogatory words to our students. So, next one, teachers can show their care about their students by knowing their students and the lives they live. Actively listening to them and asking for students for feedback would mean you value their opinions and experiences. This creates a culture where students feel safe to ask questions and take chances which will help them grow academically. So tulad ng sinabi ko kanina na dapat alamin natin kung ano yung pinanggagalingan ng isang estudyante. We must actively listen to them. Asking students for feedback kasi yun yung it really mean the value of their opinions and experiences. Kasi inisip nila, kasi may yung, parang, kasi iniisip nila na value talaga natin yung opinions and experiences nila. So, lastly, creating a motivating learning environment. So, the foundation for any learning must be built on a safe, positive, and nurturing learning environment where there's open communication. So, develop a learning environment where students feel motivated to learn within the boundaries and expectations of a safe classroom. So, by modeling and encouraging a safe environment and purposeful rules, students feel motivated to do the right thing and help one another. So, teachers need to emphasize intrinsic motivation in the classroom to keep the students interested and invested in their own learning goals. So, when we say intrinsic motivation, it is self-driven type and it lasts for a long time and must be developed among students. While intrinsic motivators, on the other hand, it helps students understand the expectations of the classroom and aid in their intrinsic motivation. So these kinds of motivators include the praise, positive reinforcement, and rewards for exceptional behavior. So for have a good learning environment, we must create a motivating learning environment for the students. Kasi pag nakikita nila na always positive lang, walang mga negative thoughts na nakapalibot sa kanila, so magiging maganda talaga yung learning environment nila. And also, dapat merong open communication. So, developing a learning environment, students feel motivated. So, yun na nga, magiging motivated sila matuto within the boundaries and expectations of a safe classroom. So, pag yung palibot natin, merong mga ganitong motivators, we can get some praise, positive reinforcement, and rewards for exceptional behavior. So, those are the... So, those are the forms of learner-centered classroom organizations, procedures, and physical structures. So, there are 4. The room structuring, the classroom routines and procedures, the social environment, and creating a motivating learning environment. So, that's all. Let's hear from my other group members of what they can share about this kind of. So, those are the forms of learner-centered classroom organizations, procedures, and physical structures. So, there are 4. The room structuring, the classroom routines and procedures, the social environment, and creating a motivating learning environment. So, that's all. Let's hear from my other group members of what they can share about.
I am Gressa Mae Diaz from BSED Math 1K. In my part, I'm going to discuss the 5 effective ways to get your students excited about learning. Number 1. Encourage students. Students look to teacher for approval and positive reinforcement and are more likely to be enthusiastic about learning if they feel their work is recognized and valued. Encourage open communication, praise your student often, recognize them for their contribution. If your classroom is friendly where students feel respected, they will be more eager to learn. So, to encourage our students, as a teacher, we can show to them that we appreciate and value all their efforts for the activity or their work that they do. In that way, the student will take it as a compliment to them and it will help them to encourage more and motivated to their learnings. Second is involve. One way to encourage students to be involved in the classroom is by teaching them to be responsible. Make participating fun by giving each student a job to do. Giving students a sense of ownership allows them to feel accomplished and encourage active class participation. So, as a teacher, we can teach our students to become responsible. For example, we can ask or give our students some task or activity in where they can explore and be creative for that certain task. They can feel accomplished and at the same time they will become responsible. And also, we need to make feel to our students that they are belong to the classroom, that they can participate in every discussion. Third one, offer incentives. Setting expectation and making reasonable demands encourage students to participate. But sometimes, students need an extra push in the right direction. Rewards give students a sense of accomplishment and encourage them to work with a goal in mind. Incentives means are more likely giving reward. Like for example, you will give them a task in where you will give an extra points for their grades as an reward if they accomplish all the activities that was given. In that way, they will be more motivated and excited to do the task because they already know that they can earn points. And also, they have their goals in mind that they need to accomplish all the requirements, all the tasks that was given so that they can earn a points for their grades. Next is creative. Avoid monotony by changing the structure of your class. Teach through games and discussion instead of lectures. Encourage students to debate and enrich the subject matter with visual aids like colorful charts, diagrams, and videos. Create a warm and stimulating environment. Being creative as a teacher will help you to cut the attentions of your students, and the students will also become active in participating because they enjoy learning inside the classroom. Number 5. Connections to real life. Showing your students that a subject matter is used every day by real people given it new importance. If they see how it applies to them, they may be motivated to learn attentively. The last one is to make realize for every student that all your discussion inside the classroom is they can apply it in reality. That if you do connections to real life, all your students can be relate. Your students will become motivated to learn or to listen because they are willing to learn on how to apply it in reality. So, in organization and management of learner-centered classroom, also have ways to get your students excited about learning. And these 5 ways will help the teachers to teach effectively. Learner-centered classroom. Roles and responsibilities. Student-centered classroom involves change in the roles and responsibilities of learners and instructors in the delivery of instructional strategies and learning itself. These all differ from those in the traditional teacher-centered classroom. So that's all. Thank you.
The roles and responsibilities of both the teacher and learner. Recognize and accommodate different learning modalities. Provide structure without being overly directive. Listen to and respect each learner's point of view. Encourage and facilitate learners' shared decision making. Help learners work through difficulties by asking open-ended questions to help them arrive at conclusions of solutions that are satisfactory to them. Recognize that people learn in different ways using different skills. These skills help students learn, and so they are vital to success in school and beyond. We all have opinions about this and that. Let's all respect opinions of him or her, if possible. Problem solving and decision making are important skills in life. Problem solving and decision making are closely linked, and each requires creativity in identifying and developing options. Active participants in their own learning makes decision about what and how they will learn. Construct new knowledge and skills by building on current knowledge and skills. understand expectations, and are encouraged to use self-assessment measures, monitor their own learning to develop strategies for learning, work in collaboration with other learners, provide work that demonstrate authentic learning. Children are born observers and are active participants in their own learning and understanding of the world around them from the very beginning of their existence. Today's children are active participants in their own learning, not just recipients of teachers' knowledge. An individual must have self-declaration that meant to encourage himself or herself.
Good day, Coach Jude Martinez. So, my name is Justine Magnahoy from BS Ed Mathematics 1K. The role of discipline in learning-centered classroom. So, there are 6 role of discipline in learning-centered classroom. 1. Collaborative class norms. 2. Logical consequences. 3. Consistent application. 4. Student is specific. Number 5. Time for resolution. Number 6. Calm spaces. Number 1. Collaborative class norms. Always start with the basics. Every class should have a short list of class or norms that develop together positively praise. Developing this list as a group allows students to see why behind the rules and buy into how they are enforced. Create 3 to 5 rules that tells everyone what they should do, not what they shouldn't do. The teacher's job is to facilitate the development of the list, not develop it yourself. Work on how you praise and narrow these rules. So, collaborative class norms means it is a classroom wherein the students actively work with each other and with an educator or a teacher in an active group learning environment, so that the students has an opportunities to talk and to listen and many more, which require to apply what they need. So number 2 is logical consequences. Logical consequences are disciplinary action that are intended to teach students to make better behavior choices rather than to punish them. One of the best ways to teach our students to accept responsibility is logical consequences. Logical consequences teach students the hows and whys of a good decision rather than making them feel sorry for making a bad choice. Why do logical consequences work so well? When the consequences is related, reasonable, and delivered respectfully, the student can make the connection with their own behavior and is less likely to resist or deny responsibility. The goal of logical consequences is to help students develop internal understanding, self-control, and a desire to follow the rules. Logical consequences are respectful of child's dignity, while punishment often calls upon an element of shame. Make sure that your consequences are connected to the misbehavior. Students don't learn from spiteful or unpredictable. So there are 3 types of logical consequences. So number 1 is time out or take a break. Time out or take a break is not a punishment. You are not banishing the child for misbehavior. Instead, you are asking them to take a few minutes to regain self-control and to think over what just occurred. Example, when students make derogatory remark about another student's response to a question, you take a break and let the student realize what he or she just said. 2. You break it, you fix it. You break it, you fix it. Use this type of logical consequences when you see an opportunity for a student to solve problem they cause. When something has been broken, feelings have been hurt, or a mess has been made, whether accidentally or intentionally, the consequence is that the one responsible for the problem, take responsibility for fixing it. Example, one child accidentally knocks into another on the playground. She stops, apologizes, and offers. 3. Loss of privilege. Loss of privilege use this type of logical consequence when a student does not follow expectations. Use this type of logical consequences when the students defy, test, or simply forget the rules. Example, a student speaks rudely to the teacher. The teacher refuses to listen to her or him until his or her tone of voice. Consistent application. Number 3, a classroom without consistent practice can often be chaotic, but creating an environment that welcomes behavior choices will support each student understanding of expectations. Unchanging rules and regulations ensure that students and families understand classroom norms and know what to expect when those norms are not met. The consistent application goes hand in hand with logical consequences. Make sure that you are consistent with your rules, your consequences, and your reinforcement. Consistency is critical in creating space for an effective learning environment. Students can participate in learning more effectively when they have a clear understanding of classroom procedures and their importance. Teachers need to be fair. Consequences need to be issued to the student immediately, and all students should. Being consistent in your classroom is paramount to being successful as a teacher and obtaining respect from your students. So, consistency application. From the word consistency, it is important in both teachers and learners or a student in the classroom. Both teachers and students should apply or practice consistency in order to have a peaceful environment.
Good day, guys. My name is Michael Abunda, and I'm going to discuss my task given to me, and my topic is about student specific. When responding to misbehavior, take into account the social, emotional, and cognitive skills of the students, as well as what happening in the situation. The consequences for a student might be the same, but you might practice more with these students or have them reflect on their behavior. For example, you have a student who always pushes in line. The student has an assigned line spot in that has been working well, but the student still needs reminders to go to their line. You need line up your class but forget to remind them. The students goes to different sports and pushes in line. In this situation, tell the students that the consequences remain the same, but apologize to them for not reminding them of their spots. So, in the explanation, especially to the students, kasi students naman talaga ang may mga misbehavior or may problema, hindi ang mga guro. So, the consequences for a student may be the same, but you can practice more with this student or hayaan sila na madiscover ang kanilang mismong behavior or their social, emotional, and their cognitive skills. For example, you have a student who is always driving in line. Kapag tumutugon sa maling pag-ugali ang isang estudyante sa isang sitwasyon na ito, tell the students that the consequences will remain the same at pagsabihan sila na huwag gawin ang isang bagay na iyon dahil masasanay ang bata na gawin yun ulit at dapat natin silang pagsabihan bilang nakakatanda sa kanila or isang guro. You need to apologize to them for not reminding them of their spots. So let's proceed to the number 5, which is the time for resolution. In your class, develop routines for solving conflicts. This is not a skill that comes naturally to students or adults. So be prepared to guide and instruct. The first thing through, provide a space and time for this to occur. Some teachers build this into their morning meetings or closing meeting. Have a conflict resolution process for disagreements between students. This process should focus on communicating clearly, finding agreeable solutions, and make a plan to move forward. So, in your class, develop activities for resolving conflicts. The first thing is to provide space and time for this to happen. Some teachers were promoted to their morning meeting at our closing meeting. Magkaroon ng proseso ng paglutas ng pagkakasundo para sa mga hindi pagkakasundo sa pagitan ng mga mag-aaral. So in this process, should focus on the communicating clearly, finding agreeable solution, and making a plan to move forward. So let's proceed to number 6. So the number 6 is calm spaces. What happens when a student is struggling to control their emotions or behavior? Do they have a place they can go in your room or process they can go through? Lots of classrooms have take place to spots. This can just reinforce the behaviors. Implementing a process for your take a break spots in teaching it is more essential than that space looks like. Students could even complete the process at their desk, and this may work better for older students. It includes a simple process that students use that focuses on self-regulation and coping skills. So the question in number 6 is, what happens when a student is struggling to control their emotions or behavior? For me, when if the students are unable to control their emotions, their responses may be disruptive or inappropriate given situation or setting. Mostly kasi sa mga emotions na nangyayari through students is anger, sadness, anxiety, and fear are just some of the emotions a person may have. Pasasalamat pa rin tayo kasi ang pagiging hindi makontrol ang emotions ay pansamantala lamang. And yes, all students must have lots of classroom and have a place to take a break spots so that this can just reinforce their behaviors. So, in this situation, I also ask myself na, how do I feel right now? So, I apply also to myself and I notice that I'm feeling angry and annoyed at myself. Maybe, a little bit anxious and nervous as well. Kasi minsan talaga nangyayari dito sa atin and it's giving to me a hard time to relax, enjoy the evening with my friends, families, etc. But it is okay for me because I know that experiencing this emotion is part of being an imperfect human, and I'm going to move through this now. So that's all. Coach, thank you and God bless po.